This podcast contains strong language and discussions about relationships, sex, and love. It may not be suitable for younger listeners. This is the Sex and Singapore City podcast, and I am Nixalina. Hi guys, welcome to a Monday evening of me, Nixalina. Thank you for tuning into the podcast once again. Love you all for listening. I hope this episode tonight doesn't freak you out, because it shouldn't, but also educates you in a realm of sex that maybe you didn't know existed. This is called The Dominant Meets the Submissive, a BDSM dive-in. Oh, yes! I am here for this episode. In fact, I'm kind of known for the BDSM style of life, and I get so many questions and people asking me about it, and I'm very open about it. So I thought, finally, let's do a fucking podcast episode. So let's start at the beginning. What is BDSM? It stands for bondage and discipline, dominance and submission, sadism and masochism. Masochism? I think I said that right. So basically, it's a style of sex between couple or beyond that is focused on a pleasure and pain aspect and a dominance and a submissive aspect. So the BDSM community is huge. There's erotic practices here that goes on beyond anything I would even be able to comprehend. I will probably focus on the dominant and the submissive and the kind of bondage that I know, because there's no point me going to Google, researching beyond that and then relaying information, because, I want it to be as authentic as I can. So for me, I first met a dominant partner when I was 21. I was super fresh out of uni. I'd only ever had sex with my then fiance. That was awful. I have done an episode on the engagement. Please tune in for that story time. But I met this guy in London who very quickly opened my eyes to BDSM. I had no idea what a dominant or a submissive even meant. Like, I was just this young student working in London in a magazine, and I just got dumped into this fucking underworld, right? But the thing is, I really, really loved it. And what happened is I spent 2 years with this man, and he became my dom, to the point I even had to sign a contract. And you're like, what? A fucking contract? What is this? What are you talking about? So basically, with a dominant and submissive relationship sexually, the submissive, as the word goes, submits their body to the dominant. And I say their body, not her body, because it's not gender specific. Submissives can be male and female. Dominants can be male and female. That's why you have the dominatrix, they're the girls, and you have the doms, they're men. So it's completely fluid across genders. So you, as a submissive, you submit your body to the dom. And in that, there can be some instances where the sex could potentially be quite dangerous, because the dominant basically owns the submissive. And this is all part of the role play. So the contract came on board. I think he eventually submitted it to me when I was 22, was a list of sexual activities that I was happy to partake in and not happy to partake in. So this is called like my limits, soft pass and hard pass. So, for the sake of this sharing episode, I might as well go all in. I really fucking hope my mother never listens to this. So for this contract and hard passes and soft passes, basically there was stuff like asphyxiation, which is choking, strangling, handcuffs, blindfolds, ropes, spanking, whips, chains, nipple clamps. Okay, this is all level. Then there's some really extra stuff, which was my hard pass, like needle play, cage play, feces play, urination, bloodletting, and I'm not judging here for people that are in this BDSM community. For me, my personal hard passes were those. So I had this contract. He says to me, like, I'm not going to sleep with you until you sign, because it's not like nothing you say will shock me, but this is for your own good. And also in the contract was a safe word. So the safe word is something you both agree together that has to be really non-sex related, like banana, oranges, I don't know, anything, pavement, house, anything you wouldn't normally say during a sexual encounter. That safe word is for the dominant to stop what they're doing immediately. So for instance, say you're being choked and you're struggling for air, whatever, the dominant has to be aware that this, that you actually can't breathe by this point. So you either try and say the safe word, or if it's the choking thing you love, then you come up with a hand sign that you can do that the dominant stops what they're doing immediately. So in this contract is a list of items. It's a signed piece of paper. There's a safe word in there, and it's basically an outline of how the dominant and the submissive in the partnership will continue their sexual relationship. Of course, I signed it. I was, by this point, ridiculously in love with him. I'm not going to go down this old avenue because I want you guys to buy the fucking book. Hashtag lolly. I still haven't finished it. But this was my first encounter of being in love with a dominant. How did I know I was a submissive? Okay, this is where we're going to really start at the beginning here. I didn't realize I was until I was. So when he started being a lot more aggressive isn't the right word, controlling during sex, telling me what to do. You're putting your legs there, you're putting your arms there, put your arms above your head, spread your legs. When he was being very assertive's the right word, during sex, I got even more turned on. And I realized that being the submissive was actually what got me off in the sexual relationship. So it was kind of like a natural fit that I didn't know I even needed, which is odd. I mean, I'd been lightly strangled before by my boyfriend. We've all had that heat of the play sex and, I don't know, maybe spits in your mouth or something and it turns you on. But this just took it to the next level. And yeah, I fucking loved it. I'm not shy in my opinions on life, and I loved our dominant and submissive BDSM lifestyle. I got fucking addicted to it. What I want to make clear now, before I move on from past to present, is in this relationship, but no point was it abusive. At no point was anything done that I didn't want or ask for. At no point did that assertive, controlling behavior spread beyond the bedroom. And this is what dominant and submissives as a couple and partners and even the community love, is that it's actually a very protective, caring, nurturing relationship. And I know that sounds like a complete contradiction in terms, but it is, because the dominant isn't just, I rule you, I own you, you're my sex toy. That's not it. That's part of it, but it's also, I will look after you. Your health is in my best interest. Your life is in my best interest. Like, it's still a very normal, loving couple relationship. It just also is something a little bit more when it comes to sex. So, unfortunately, me and the dom back then, Lolly, we split. And I read read the fucking book. And then I spent my 20s, like, not in any kind of functional relationship, and certainly not with a dom. And I was with a guy for 4 years. It was probably my longest relationship to date, and he just wasn't one, right? Just was not there. And I'm not saying the sex was bad or anything. It absolutely wasn't. I loved the sex. You know, of course, I was in love with him. We had this connection. We were in a relationship. But just the dominant side just didn't work. I feel like in hindsight, he had a very strong feminine energy about him. There wasn't really much alpha masculine energy. And the doms that I love need this strong alpha dog masculine type presence. So yeah, I was in a relationship for 4 years. I haven't like practiced any like severe dom or sub anything. It was just, you know, a relationship. I was going to say normal, but it wasn't. Healthy, it wasn't. And so yeah, kind of forgot. I would talk about my experiences a lot, but I didn't really live the lifestyle. And I kind of forgot what it was like. Fast forward 2021 and I meet my current partner. Oh my fucking God. Oh my God. So he's going to probably kill me for this, but fuck it. My podcast, not yours, baby. He hasn't really delved into any type of this dom and sub lifestyle, but I started to notice straight away with him that he was just naturally like that. He likes to be, you know, in control. He has a job where he's very in control anyway. And he's so loving and nurturing and protective of me, but is also this like, I will put my foot down. And that is what I need. Like, I've always said it, I need a man in my life that's like, shut up. Like, you're taking the piss. Or, no, we're not doing that. Because I'm so, like, bossy. I'm also a dominant woman. And this is something else that I have to really, really talk about and touch base here is as a woman, I am so fucking dominant in my career, in my life. Like, I'm very opinionated. I'm very, like, headstrong. I am assertive, you know, I am confrontational. I speak out for myself and other people. And yet, when it comes to my relationship in private, all I want is to not be the dom one. I don't want the dominance. It's like I need someone else to take some extra stress off me, I guess. You know, and being the submissive is actually quite a relaxing state because I don't have to think about anything. He thinks about everything. I don't have to worry about anything. Like, he fulfills all the part of my life that I kind of need to make me as happy as I could possibly be. Even listening to this now, I'm trying to like, is this sound weird? Are you keeping up? Does it sound like I'm fucking weird? Do you think this is weird? Okay. So with my current partner, the dominant and the submissive relationship actually also kind of spurs beyond the bedroom, which is something I've never experienced before. And it turns us both on so fucking much. And it has almost just happened naturally. So he, of course, as I said, wasn't really understanding the world or whatever. I introduced the dom and the sub thing to him. And he's like, okay, I'm here for that. I'll probably do a little bit of research. Don't really know what you're talking about. And then we just evolved from there. It just was a natural progression. And I don't really want to overspill my current private life. We all know I don't like talking about current affairs with myself, but basically it's fucking awesome. It's the best sex I've ever had. I mean, yeah, it is. I know we all say that, best. I mean, I had great sex before, but this is next level. And I think just because of how he is so alpha as a man and how he's so caring, I haven't had a man genuinely care about my well-being the way this guy does. Never, ever. And I am priority number one. Well, no, my cats are. I think he's actually stolen my cats off me. They are definitely more his. He's like, are you and the cats coming over? I just love having cats around. You know, it's so good to have cats and a girlfriend. I'm like, why the fuck have you put us in that order, bro? Cats and a girlfriend. Thanks. But yeah, he's just so nurturing, so loving. I am his priority and he is my dom. And we just love it. It's the best relationship we have. And people are going to be like, oh my God, that's weird. But it's not, because it's a natural fit for us and because it's erotic pleasure that we both love and we both fulfill the role that the other one needs, right? And I feel like with the dominant and the submissive BDSM episode, what I really want you to take away from this is it is a sexual fetish, but it's also not a fetish. It's just what turns you on. Like, oh, I like being turned on by going on top of the guy. I like being turned on doggy style. I like being turned on when he pulls my hair. He likes being turned on when I give him a blowjob or when, I sit on top of him or ride him backwards or whatever it is. That's what turns you on, right? This is the same. It turns me on to have my hands tied up. It turns me on to be blindfolded. It turns me on to be gagged. It turns me on to have a safe word. It turns me on to, to be told what to do. And it's just what sexually gets you going. And luckily, me as a submissive has found my dominant, which I didn't think was going to happen. And like I said, it was like a 21, 22-year relationship when I was that young. And I just thought that was with him, that's specific to us. I didn't realize I could have that, but 100,000 times better with someone that I'm actually properly in love with and vice versa. Because with my 21-year-old dominant guy, Lolly, he was in love with me, but not really. It wasn't actually a relationship. It certainly wasn't a fruitful relationship. It wasn't safe for me in that I wasn't secure or stable. It was, I didn't know whether he would have other women. I didn't know whether I was actually his girlfriend. So it was all a little bit up in the air. Whereas this one is I'm going to marry you. Kind of stable. I will marry you. And we're very normal. A normal in inverted commas because, hashtag normal. What is normal? But this is just what we love. Have we signed a contract? I know that's what you're probably thinking. Bitch, please, how bad is this going? How good is this going? Yes, we do. We have a contract. And no, I'm not going to share what's in it. But I just want to be very open about stuff like this because I want people to feel that they can be sexually expressive. And I want you to know that you can be turned on, by stuff that perhaps is a little bit taboo. And when I say this, there's always a disclosure. You can't be turned on with taboo. Taboo stuff goes into morally, ethically and legally wrong. Okay? I'm not saying that's okay. I'm talking about mutually consenting sexual experiences where perhaps you like being spanked, perhaps he likes spanking you, perhaps he wants you to crawl around on all fours and put a collar and a lead on, perhaps he wants to tie you to a bed restraint, perhaps he wants to put you in a hog tie. There's all this stuff. And it's okay. Don't be shameful if that's what you both want together. I want people to feel that they can, be sexually expressive and open about sex and enjoy it and not be shamed about it. I am not fucking shamed about being a submissive. It is fucking amazing. And me and my boyfriend just get closer and closer and closer and closer together. The sex is unbelievable because we're both so turned on now because we're dialed in to what really gets us going. So it's just a fucking electric rather than just standard sex that doesn't do it for us, but it's the normal sex. So if you're thinking about trying out some Dom Sub BDSM stuff together, I would say do Google first. So Google what the terms mean for you to understand it. I'm aware you're listening to me now, but I do want you to do more research. Understand what it means to be one of the roles. So what does a dominant mean? What does being a submissive mean? I also want you to look at consent consent is probably the most important part of this relationship dynamic, because you have to both give consent. You have to have boundaries, hence why usually there's a contract involved. You both have to be very honest, like, I want to try this. No, I don't want to. Hard pass. Limit. Done. Okay, fair. You can't have one like, well, no, I want to try it. I want to push that. You have to be very respectful to each other on what you would like to try. So be honest with your desires and your boundaries. Be very clear on consent and have a safe word and a safe hand signal if you can't speak at the time. Understand that this is not about being exposed, uncomfortable. It's not about being degraded. It's not about being used or abused. It's not about pain as such. This is purely about pleasure and happiness and a mutual respect and love. And I know you'll be like, what? I don't understand, because you're talking about like, all this shit, but then you're saying it's like mutual pleasure. Yeah, trust me, it's fucking fantastic. Amongst your research, I also want you to look at sex toys and only start at the beginning. So for me, back when I was 21, he wanted to buy everything, and I'm like, no. So I was happy with a ball gag, a blindfold, a bed restraint that went under the mattress, and a collar and a lead. And I think I said no to everything else. Like, even to this day, like, never put nipple clamps on, never used a butt plug, never been put in any kind of like mask or cage. I've never been like suspended from ropes, nothing. I mean, I'm still pretty soft when it comes in the BDSM world. But I gave like what I'm okay with. This is what I'm okay with. Done. So if all you want to do is perhaps venture with a blindfold and some handcuffs, right? The handcuffs, of course, are easy open as well. Like, you can have a key, or you can get the ones that you can catch off if, you're really concerned. Or you can just get some light ropes. And you know what, guys? You don't even have to buy sex toys. If you're like, oh, God, like, it's fucking expensive. You can just get a couple of ties, or a belt from a dress or a dressing gown, soft belt, and start playing with tying hands up and stuff. It really is all up to you and what you're comfortable with. When it comes to the toys, introducing the toys into the bedroom, do your research, start at the beginning and then work your way up. So, like spanking, it hurts. Yeah, it hurts. In fact, I've been spanked before, and it left such a mark. And I just like immediately cried because like the shock of being spanked that hard and there's like fingerprints. I just cried and I was like, this isn't okay. This was years ago from some rando. I was like, this isn't okay. Like, no, you don't fucking get what you're doing. So yeah, you can't just be in pain and put up with it or anything. And you have to really understand what you're doing. And you have to I'd say, work your way up to this kind of stuff. So definitely do your research, look at sex toys, start at the beginning. Do your research with Dom and Sub, understand what it means, start at the beginning. Do it very slowly, work your way up, Don't just dive right into the hard bit because it might not be for everyone. And that's the other thing I want to kind of point out as I finish this episode. It's okay to try it and not like it. If you're like, oh, okay, choke me, and he chokes you and you freak out, that's okay. It's okay. No, don't. Never doing that. Not for me. Don't think like because you said you might give it a go or you brought it up yourself that you have to continue. If it's uncomfortable, if it's not turning you on, I mean, the whole point is to turn you on. If it's turning you off or making you upset, leave it. That, done. Sorry, don't like it. Skip on out of there and say like, we tried it, wasn't for me. And that's fine. This is where your boundaries come into play. And boundaries aren't just sexually, like across your whole life. Boundaries are extremely important. So yeah, I hope this has helped. This is a very intro guide into the beginning of a dom meeting a submissive, into BDSM. If you want a further episode where I go in harder. Ting pun. Yeah, message me. Message me after you've listened to this. If you want another episode, I will do it for you, but only for you, okay? Because for me, it will be some serious tea spilling, and I don't know if you guys are ready for it. And on that evil laugh, I'm out. Take care, everyone. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to the Sex and Singapore City podcast. This episode was produced and hosted by me, Nixalina, and recorded at the Splicecast studio in Singapore. I'm available to listen to on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, and all major podcast listening apps. Do subscribe to enjoy a new episode every Monday evening. Please do give me a 5-star review. It helps other people also find my podcast. For more awesome content and features to read, you can check out my website, sexandsingaporecity.com. That's sexandsingaporecity.com. I'm also on social media. Simply search @Nixalina, Nixalina, to find me. Don't be shy. Come say hi.